My name is Ava Merrick, and the story you are about to hear began on the day that was supposed to be one of the proudest moments of my life. I thought my graduation would mark the end of years filled with quiet sacrifice, silent resilience, and all the things I learned to swallow because I grew up being told that being strong meant being quiet. But that day did not give me the pride I had earned. Instead, it gave me clarity. And sometimes, clarity arrives like a knife. Before I begin, I want to invite you, whoever you are, wherever you are listening, to stay with me until the end. Stories like mine are rarely simple, but they are more common than we admit. If you have ever felt overshadowed, unheard, or pushed aside by the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally, then my story may echo in your chest. Feel free to share your thoughts while listening. And if stories of resilience, dignity, and emotional justice resonate with you, I would be grateful if you liked the video, subscribed, and joined this journey with me. Now, let me take you back not just to my graduation day, but to all the moments that quietly led up to it. I grew up with a twin sister named Serena. We were born only minutes apart, but the emotional distance between us always felt like miles. People love to call us two sides of the same coin, but that was only true on the surface. Serena was the side that sparkled soft, appealing, easy to love from the outside. And I was the side people only noticed when they needed something sturdy. She was the golden one, the cherished one, the girl whose every misstep was laughed off as charm, whose every accomplishment was celebrated twice as loudly as mine, even when mine required twice the effort. Our parents, Thomas and Elaine Merrick, never said they preferred her. They never had to. Favoritism is a language spoken not through words, but through gestures, through where the eyes linger, whom the hands reach for first, and the softness reserved for one child while the other receives a tone sharpened by expectation. And I had learned that language before I learned how to spell my own name. As children, Serena got the prettier dresses while I wore hand-me-downs, because they were practical. When Serena struggled with schoolwork, she was given private tutors and patient encouragement. When I struggled, I was given silence and a stack of books because figuring things out on your own builds character. I became very good at building character, and even better at swallowing things whole. Yet, despite everything, I tried to believe that maybe Serena just needed more and I needed less. It was easier to think that way. Easier to pretend the imbalance was a coincidence, not a choice. But as we got older, it became impossible to ignore. Serena was delicate. I was resilient. Serena needed guidance. I needed discipline. Serena deserved sweetness. I deserved responsibility. That was the narrative. One I never wrote, but lived in every day. Still, I worked hard. Harder than I should have had to. I studied late into the night, while Serena slept peacefully after yet another evening out. I applied for scholarships because our parents insisted they could only afford to help one of us deeply, and Serena needed the support more. For years, I convinced myself that love was not measured in gifts or attention, but in the quiet assurance that family remained family no matter what. I held on to that hope until the very morning of my graduation. The air that day felt different, warm, bright, almost hopeful. I remember standing in front of the mirror, adjusting the cap on my head. For a moment, I allowed myself to feel proud. I had worked for this. I had earned this. Maybe, I thought, today would be the day my parents finally saw me. When I walked downstairs, I heard Serena's laughter drifting from the living room. She was twirling in her dress, an expensive one, silk, champagne-colored. A graduation gift, our mother had told her. I wore a dress I bought myself with money saved from tutoring jobs. Our mother's eyes barely flicked toward me. "Are you ready, Ava?" she asked, already reaching to smooth Serena's hair. I nodded. It was easier than expecting more. The ceremony itself felt surreal, rows of chairs, camera flashes, names echoing through the warm afternoon air. When my name was called, I stepped onto the stage. Applause rose from the audience, but I could not distinguish my family's clapping from the rest. Still, I smiled. I allowed myself to feel the moment, but I could not have known what was waiting for me afterward. After the ceremony, families gathered in clusters across the lawn, gifts, flowers, and congratulations filling the air. We approached my parents, who were standing beside Serena. My mother held a large, beautifully wrapped box and a white envelope. Serena's face glowed with anticipation. My father cleared his throat. "We wanted to give you girls something special," he said. For a moment, a foolish, naive moment, I let myself hope that the box was for both of us, or even for me. But my mother turned to Serena first. She handed her the box with a warm smile that I rarely saw directed at me. Inside was a brand new suitcase, rose gold, elegant, shimmering in the sunlight. Attached to the handle was a ribbon-wrapped envelope. Serena opened it and gasped. "A trip to Europe?" she squealed. 3 weeks? First-class flights." The crowd around us murmured in admiration. Someone even clapped. My parents beamed, as though they had won an award. I stood there, holding my diploma, trying to steady my breath. Then my mother turned to me. "Oh, and Ava," she said, as if remembering an afterthought. "We did not forget you." She reached into her purse and pulled out a small plastic gift card sleeve, one you would find at a grocery store checkout counter. She placed it in my hand with the same expression someone might use when offering a receipt. Inside was a $10 gift card. $10. My entire childhood condensed into a number. I did not speak. I did not cry. I simply stood there, feeling the ground shift beneath me as strangers pretended not to stare. But shame has a way of burning hotter when witnessed. Serena hugged me with cheerful obliviousness. "Aren't you excited, Ava?" she asked. "This is going to be the best summer ever." My parents nodded approvingly, as though everything was exactly as it should be. And perhaps for them it was. But for me, that moment changed everything. It was the first time I realized that love, when uneven for too long, ceases to be love. It becomes something else. Something sharp enough to cut. That night, after the graduation crowd faded and the last distant applause dissolved into the wind, I sat on the edge of my bed, still dressed in my gown. The $10 gift card lay beside me, its glossy surface catching the faint glow of my bedside lamp. It was almost absurd how something so small could feel so heavy. You would think I cried. But the truth is, I did not. Tears require surprise, and there was nothing surprising about what happened that day. Pain only becomes unbearable when it arrives unexpectedly. Mine had been years in the making. What shocked me was not the gift itself. It was the realization that I had been hoping still, even then, that my parents would someday wake up and see me. That hope died quietly that night, without ceremony, without sound. I touched the corner of the graduation cap still resting beside me and whispered to myself, "Never again." Not a promise of revenge. Not a vow to prove anyone wrong. Just a choice finally to stop waiting for people who had long chosen someone else. I thought I would spend the night alone with that realization, but there was a soft knock on my door. It was Serena. She stepped in without waiting for my reply, something she had always done. Her presence filled the room with the faint scent of her perfume, expensive and floral. "Ava," she said brightly, closing the door behind her. "Are you excited for everything that is happening?" I stared at her. About what, exactly? She sat beside me, her eyes shining with genuine enthusiasm. "The trip. Europe. I mean, I never thought Mom and Dad would go that far, but it is so amazing, right?" I studied her expression. There was nothing malicious about it. Serena had been raised in a world of soft landings and easy love. She did not see the imbalance because the imbalance always favored her. "That is great for you," I said quietly. She tilted her head. "You sound upset." A small laugh escaped me, not cruel, just tired. "I am not upset, Serena. I am just done expecting things that were never meant for me." She frowned as if trying to translate my words. "Ava, they gave you something too." I looked at the gift card lying between us. "Yes," I said. "They did." Serena followed my gaze, then shrugged. "I mean, maybe they thought you like practical things." Her voice carried no malice. And somehow that made it worse. She stood and smoothed her hair. "Well, I just came to check on you. I cannot believe we are adults now. Everything will be different, right?" "Yes," I said. "Everything will be very different." She smiled softly and left the room, closing the door gently behind her. I stared at that closed door for a long time. Maybe things would be different, but not for the reasons she imagined. 2 weeks later, Serena boarded her first-class flight to Europe. There were pictures, of course, hundreds of them. Paris at sunset, Rome in the golden hours, Madrid's narrow alleys glowing under warm streetlights. My parents commented on every post with heart emojis and proud exclamations. I watched quietly, scrolling through the photos as I packed the last box in my room. Yes, I was leaving. Not out of spite, not out of anger, but because sometimes healing requires distance, and sometimes distance requires a door closing behind you. So, I found a small apartment 40 minutes away, nothing fancy, but it was mine. I left a note on the kitchen table. Thank you for everything you felt capable of giving me. Ava. No accusations. No pleas. Just closure. When my parents came home later that day, they did not call. Not that day. Not the next. 3 days later, I received a message from my mother. We saw your note. We hope this phase passes quickly. Phase. As if independence were a tantrum. As if self-respect were rebellion. I blocked the notification, not out of anger, but because I did not want those words living rent-free in my mind. In my new apartment, life was quiet but honest. I worked long hours at a local bookstore, picking up extra shifts wherever I could. I earned enough to pay rent, to keep the lights on, and to feel maybe for the first time truly alive. There's something empowering about building a life from nothing. The world becomes sharper, clearer, less dependent on who chooses to see you. And yet, late at night, when the city hummed like a distant heartbeat, memories crept in. Not the painful ones. The ones where Serena and I shared matching pajamas as children. Where we whispered secrets past midnight. Where we could not imagine a world where we did not belong to each other. I missed her. But missing someone does not mean you belong where they are. Months passed. I excelled at the bookstore, eventually earning enough to take community college classes. I chose literature. Words had always felt safer than people. My days became a rhythm of learning, working, sleeping, and choosing myself again and again. And then, one afternoon in early autumn, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a familiar voice trembled on the other end. Ava? It is me. It is Serena. Her words came fast, frantic. Can I come over? Please. I really need to talk to you. I hesitated only briefly before giving her my address. When she arrived an hour later, she looked different, older, but not in the way time ages you. More like life had finally reached her in ways she had never been touched before. She stepped inside, her hands shaking slightly. Ava, she whispered, her voice breaking. I think something is wrong. With Mom and Dad. I felt my chest tighten. What happened? She sank onto my couch, tears gathering in her eyes. They have been different. Cold. Angry. I thought they were upset because you left, but it is more than that. They keep fighting. They barely talk to me unless they're criticizing something. And last night, Dad said. Her voice cracked completely. He said I am becoming a burden. The air left my lungs. A burden. The word felt unreal. Serena, who had always been cherished, adored, protected, was finally feeling what I had known all my life. I sat beside her. Serena, I said softly, I am so sorry. She shook her head desperately. No, Ava. I am sorry. I never saw it. I never understood. I thought love was supposed to feel the way they gave it to me. I did not know it hurt you. Her tears fell freely. I was blind. I took her hand gently. You were not blind, I said. You were just loved loudly. And I was loved quietly. The quiet gets hard to hear after a while. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. And in that moment, I realized something profound. This story was never just about what my parents gave or did not give. It was about the spaces between us, the invisible threads, the silent wounds, the shared history that shaped us both. Serena was not my enemy. She was just another product of the same broken pattern. But something was shifting. Something deeper than jealousy or resentment. A storm was gathering, and it was heading straight for all of us. Serena stayed on my couch that night. For hours, she spoke in halting fragments, stories of tension, raised voices, and subtle criticisms that echoed the tone I had grown up with. Except now, those words were being aimed at her. She whispered through tears, "I thought I did something wrong. I kept trying to fix it. I tried harder and harder to be what they wanted, but every time I tried, they pushed farther away. I do not understand what changed." I understood, though. Love built on imbalance does not collapse gently. It falls violently because it was never balanced to begin with. When you pedestal one child and pressure the other, eventually the pedestal cracks under its own weight. Serena had spent years being placed on that pedestal, sheltered from its consequences. Now she was finally feeling the instability beneath her feet. For a moment, an old bitterness tried to rise in me, but it faded. Because what I felt more strongly was compassion. I touched her arm gently. "Serena, they did not suddenly change. They just do not have me there to absorb everything quietly anymore." She inhaled sharply. "You are the buffer," she whispered. I nodded. When someone is always taking the hits, the others never realize how hard they were landing. A long, trembling silence settled between us. Then she looked up at me, eyes red and wet. "Do you hate me, Ava?" The question pierced through every layer of memory inside me. "No," I said, my voice soft but steady. "I never hated you. I hated the way I disappeared so you could shine. But that was never your fault." Her lips quivered. "Then help me. Please. I do not know what to do." Her plea was fragile, human, and painfully genuine. I reached for her hand. "We face it. Together. But not the way they expect." The next morning, we drove to our parents' house. The neighborhood looked the same: quiet lawns, trimmed hedges, and the same wind chimes our mother had hung years ago. But the house itself felt different, almost shrunken, as if it sensed an overdue reckoning approaching. When we stepped inside, our parents were seated at the dining table mid-argument. They stopped abruptly when they saw us. My father's jaw tightened. My mother's eyes narrowed. "Ava," my mother said, "you should call before showing up. And Serena, you know we have been expecting you home for days." Serena flinched at the tone. "We need to talk," I said. My father scoffed. "I imagine this is about your little apartment stunt." Stunt. The word hung in the air like a blade. But before I could respond, Serena stepped forward. "No, Dad," she said, voice trembling but brave. "This is about all of us." My parents exchanged puzzled glances. Then Serena's voice cracked open. "I am not happy," she said. "I am not okay. Something is wrong in this family, and it has been wrong for a long time." My mother exhaled sharply, already irritated. "Oh, please. Do not start dramatizing things just because your sister is going through a rebellious." "This is not about rebellion," Serena cried. "It is about how you treat us. About how you have always treated us." My father's face hardened. "What exactly are you implying?" Serena turned to me, eyes asking permission for strength. I gave a small nod. She faced them again. "You treated Ava differently her whole life. You made her feel small so I could feel big. I never saw it until now. But I feel it, Dad. I feel it every day now. The coldness, the disappointment, the pressure, the sense that nothing I do is enough anymore." My mother crossed her arms. "That is ridiculous. We treated you girls the same." That lie sliced through me more violently than the graduation humiliation ever had. "No," I said quietly but firmly. "You did not." My father bristled. "And what exactly are you accusing us of?" I met his gaze with a steadiness I never had before. "I am not accusing you. I am telling you what I lived. And for the first time in my life, I let the words come not with anger, but with truth. I was the child who did not get comfort when I broke down. I was the child who got lectured instead of hugged. I was the one who got practicality, while Serena got softness. I got responsibility. Serena got support. I got discipline. She got encouragement. And when you gave her a trip to Europe and handed me a $10 gift card at my own graduation, that was not a mistake. That was the clearest reflection of where I stood in this family. Silence struck every corner of the room. My mother blinked rapidly, her composure cracking. My father swallowed hard, looking suddenly older. Serena reached for my hand. "We are not asking you to fix the past," she whispered, more to them than to me. "We are asking you to acknowledge it. But acknowledgement is a dangerous thing. It forces people to confront their own failures." My father looked away first. "I did what I thought was best," he muttered. My mother's voice trembled not with softness, but defensiveness. "You were always so strong, Ava. We thought you did not need as much." A sad smile touched my lips. "That is where you were wrong. Strong children still need softness." Her eyes glossed over with unshed tears. "But guilt does not heal wounds. And tears do not repair years." I inhaled deeply. "I am not here for apologies. I am here to tell you that I am choosing my life now. One where I do not have to fight for the bare minimum." Serena squeezed my hand, echoing my words. "And I am choosing to step out of that pedestal you put me on. It is too high. It is too lonely." Our parents stared at us, two daughters bound by blood and years, finally standing on equal ground. My father whispered, "Are we losing you both?" The truth flashed inside me, bright, painful, honest. "You already have," I said softly. "But you can still choose whether we stay gone." My mother's face broke, then not dramatically, but subtly, the way regret fractures a person from the inside. "I do not know how to fix this," she whispered. "You start by seeing us," I said. "Both of us." We left their house without resolution, without promises, without the illusion of immediate healing. But as Serena and I walked to the car, the wind felt lighter somehow. "Do you think things will ever be normal again?" she asked. I shook my head gently. "No. But that might be a good thing." She exhaled shakily, then slipped her arm around mine, something she had not done in years. "I am glad you did not give up on me," she whispered. "I never did," I said. "I just needed to learn not to give up on myself." We drove back to my apartment, our apartment now, since she decided she did not want to return to a house built on uneven love. It was not a victory, not revenge, not even closure, but it was something better. A beginning. A beginning shaped not by what we were given, but by what we chose. And for the first time in my life, I chose me. If you stayed with me through this entire journey, thank you. Stories like this are not easy to tell, but they're important. If you have ever been the overlooked one, the quiet one, the resilient one who learned to swallow everything just to keep the peace, I see you. Your story matters. Your healing matters. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories about resilience, emotional justice, and finding strength in unexpected places, feel free to like the video and subscribe. Your support helps stories like mine find the people who need them. Thank you for listening. Truly.